Alright, well, hello. Welcome to my very first readathon of the year. Not gonna lie, still pretty tired, but I did get some sleep. It is about 11:40 p.m. right now on Sunday the 17th. I went to bed around 4 p.m. and woke up about 20 minutes ago, so see how it goes. But if you have never watched one of my readathon follow-alongs before, I've done them in years past. But basically the idea is that I'm going to be reading as much as I can for 24 hours. So starting at midnight, I will go all the way until 11:59 if I can manage it, and see how much I can get read. So my plan for the day is to read the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, which I'm so excited about because I've wanted to read them for years and I've heard such fun things. And it sounds like it's going to be a day of fun reading. I think some of the times that I've done this in the past, I've picked books that are a bit more difficult to get through in 24 hours, and so I really struggled. And then other times, like when I did my Harry Potter readathon, my Percy Jackson readathon, I was able to get through a bunch of those really quickly because they're more lighthearted and easy to read and fun. So I don't really know what the tone of this is, just that they're supposed to be fun, and I like the concept of them. As far as I understand it, it's like these kind of cyberpunk sci-fi retellings of classic fairy tales. So first up you have Cinder, which is a retelling of Cinderella, and then Scarlet, which I believe is Little Red Riding Hood, and then Cress, which is Rapunzel, and then Winter, which is Snow White. So super excited to get into it. I haven't done this kind of version of a readathon in a while, so the way I've been doing it the past, like, I think 3 times that I've done these, because I think I've done about 5 at this point. The past 3 or so times that I've done these readathons, I've done it with a buddy, for one thing, and I'm doing it by myself this time. But usually we would start at about 8 p.m. and we'd read as late as we could, and then we would go to sleep for a few hours, then wake up at a decent time, and then continue reading until 8 p.m. Which was good because, you know, we were able to replenish any energy we lost to keep going. The first 2 times I did this was the way I'm doing it now, where I start at midnight and I just see how long I can go. Last time I did that, I was quite a few years younger and had more energy, and it was hard then, so I'm curious to see how it's going to go now. I have a feeling that I'm going to struggle for a bit of the day, but I have some plans in place for fun caffeine today to have, and I think I'm going to go to the park at one point and read out in the sun because it's supposed to be nice out, so we'll see how it goes. I'm excited, but yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop rambling. I'm going to go get set up downstairs. Every now and then I'll check back in here, but for the most part I will be taking you along with me throughout the day as much as I can, so you can see the journey. But yeah, gonna go ahead and go get set up, make my coffee, light my candle, all that jazz. So here we go. I've got my coffee and my book, ambiance, my candle going, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started, see how we do. Halfway through Cinder, on page 191, so yeah, about halfway through. It is so fun so far. I love the tone and the style, and the story is so interesting. I love a clever fairy tale retelling, and you can just tell what a unique and well executed idea this is. So I'm having a great time. I have moved to the couch because the chair was getting a little uncomfortable. We'll see how long I last here. I am feeling a little sleepy, but I don't want to overdo it with the coffee too early in the day, so I'm going to try to hold off as long as I can before making another cup. But moved to the couch, grabbed a snack, grabbed a water, gotta go ahead and keep going. I think my goal is to try to have this first book finished by about 4 or 5 a.m., but we'll see how I do. So check back in soon. And I have just finished book 1. I was not expecting to finish that quickly, but here we are, and oh, it was so good. I have no idea how I'm gonna rate these books, because usually what I do when I finish a book is I give myself a couple days to like sit on my thoughts, and I type them all out, and then I'm able to kind of tally up all the stars that I'm giving it and how I feel about it. But with reading all these so close together, I'm not really sure how I'm gonna rate them, or if I'm able to keep them separate in my brain. But anyway, this was so much fun. I was expecting to like this book, but not to love it that much. I think I didn't realize when I first started that it's an entire series that's all connected. I thought it was within one universe, but they were all separate stories because they're all different retellings of all these fairy tales, but I didn't realize that it was a continuing story, which is exciting. So yeah, wow, I love this, and I'm so excited to already get to book 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a small breather, maybe like a 10-15 minute break before I get back to it, and then gonna go ahead and get started with book 2. Here we go. So pages into the second book, just as good as the first so far, but I am getting a little hungry and a little sleepy, so I'm going to take a little break and make a small breakfast, have some more coffee, and then get right back to it. Here we go. Sun's coming up. Crazy. Okay, it is just after 8:30. I just finished the second book in the Lunar Chronicles, Scarlet. I loved it. It was so good, just as good as the first one. I'm gonna go ahead and take a brief break to get ready for the day, kind of refresh. I do want to share some more in-depth thoughts than just, I'm really enjoying it. So I'm gonna gather those while I get ready, and then take a second to pause and just record my reactions and my actual commentary on what I'm reading after I do that. I did just check how long books 3 and 4 are, and they are so much longer than these first two. So I thought I was like really ahead of the game, and now I think it will probably take me the whole day to finish the other two, but that's okay. That was the goal of this day anyway. So gonna get ready and then share my thoughts, and we will get right on to book 3. Okay, I am running a little bit behind, so I'm gonna get through this as quickly as I can. I'm leaving in about an hour to go pick up lunch and coffee from one of our favorite places. But yeah, before I continue reading, and I do need to continue reading, I wanted to just take a second to talk about things that I'm really enjoying. So thus far, at almost 9:40 in the morning, I have finished both Cinder and Scarlet. I'm having so much fun with these. I was expecting to like them, but I love them. I don't know, I'm so torn because I can't say like, oh my gosh, it's my new favorite thing ever, but like I'm just having a blast. I'm having such a good time reading these. Just a few things that I'm enjoying without giving too many spoilers. Marissa Meyer has such an accessible voice. It's not that it is necessarily, I don't want to say it's juvenile, but it's simplistic enough to, and not in a bad way, it's simplistic enough to be so easily readable. It was one of those where at first I was a little bit like, oh gosh, okay, another world I have to get used to and more characters I have to learn. And she so seamlessly weaves it all together that I got lost in the pages so quickly. It was easy to look up at the clock, realize an hour had gone by, and I'd read 100 pages. So I just love how well the writing flows. It's so easy to understand what's going on. It's not overly complicated. The world is really interesting. She does such a good job of establishing those world building rules very, like I said before, seamlessly, where it's not glaringly in your face that, hey, here's a world building thing that's happening. It's just naturally part of the setting and the story that's happening, so that's really cool. The characters are super fun. I love the romance so far. It has me, you know, kicking my feet and giggling like I'm a teenager again. It's so sweet and well written. I'm having such a fun time with it. I am a little daunted though, and I think I said this already, but the next 2 books are a lot longer. It's deceptive because, let me show you. They're all like about the same length, right? You see this? Cinder was 389 pages. Scarlet was 452. Cress is 550 something. It's the next one. And Winter, the last one, is 800 something. And I don't know if I don't know how they crammed that into this because it is the same size as this one. But this one's 500 and this one's 800. I don't know how they did it. But I'm a little intimidated seeing the clock ticking down now because even though I've already finished 2, I still have about 1,300 pages I'm supposed to get through before the end of the day. So I'm gonna stop rambling. This is just to check in and say that I finished the first 2 books. I am loving them so far. It is so unique and clever the way that she's retelling it. I feel like there's so much YA that I've read recently or that I've read in the past few years that just feels so derivative and like just not really my favorite thing, way too tropey, but the way that she's relying on these established tropes and putting her own unique twist on them, it just feels like a breath of fresh air, and it makes me proud to be a reader of YA, where sometimes in recent past I've been a little bit like, yeah, I read YA, I write YA, and I'm not necessarily proud of it, but this one makes me proud to be a reader and writer of YA. And it makes me excited to get back to my own book. There are just so many things about her storytelling where I just feel encouraged and excited to get back to the story that I'm trying to tell, which has been lovely. That is that. It is now 9:42. I am going to go ahead and keep reading and continue to take you guys along the journey. Lunch and coffee for my husband and I, bringing Cress with me so that I can read while I wait for the food. I'm close to 100 pages in, haven't made a ton of progress since I last checked in, but again, it has just been so much fun. Another crazy installment so far. I was just telling my husband how clever the retelling is and how much I enjoy it. Without giving too many spoilers, just the way that she does these retellings where it's so clear how she's using the original fairy tale but putting a sci-fi twist on it, and it's just one of those things that makes you go, oh, that's smart. So I'm having fun still. But anyway, yep, here we go. I've just passed the 200-page mark in Cress. I am slowing down a bit. I'm starting to get kind of tired. I have my giant strong coffee here. I'm sipping on it slowly. I think in the next hour or so, I might go take a little stroll outside, read out in the sun for a little bit and see if that helps. I have an energy drink in the fridge that I am considering, but I also don't want to overdo it with the caffeine. Probably need some water also. But yeah, just checking in. I'm still having a great time with it. I can just feel my eyes getting a little heavy, so I think I maybe need to switch up location, switch up what I'm doing for a bit, but I'm gonna keep trucking on for at least an hour, so. It is almost 1:30. Cress and I are having a lovely time, but my eyeballs are starting to burn and I am starting to slow down quite a bit. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and start getting ready to head out, go sit outside for a little while and see how I fare that way. Hoping the fresh air and a little bit of sun will help me to feel rejuvenated, but we're gonna find out. I'm also going to drink some water, even though this lovely coffee has been so nice and I've had so much of it. It is only doing so much, and also I have not had enough actual hydration for all the caffeine that I have consumed thus far today. So here we go. I'm back. Gathered all my things. I feel like I'm just burning daylight and really slowing down. It's taken me pretty much about an hour per 100 pages so far. So I'm hoping this means I'll be done by about 3, but we'll find out. Let's go read outside. Well, I am here. I'm all set up. It's been so cloudy over by our house today that I was worried it wasn't going to be sunny over here, even though the forecast said sun. And it's so nice and sunny, and I'm so happy. It's nice and toasty and warm. I feel more rejuvenated after stepping outside the house for a little bit. It wasn't just to, go pick up food or run an errand. So anxious to go ahead and get started while reading out here. I have like 75 pages left in this book. I wanted to finish this by 4 p.m. but I don't think it's gonna happen, but I'll at least get close. I am on chapter 54, page 476. You can see my progress there. The sunshine is exactly what I needed. Been able to be out here with no distractions and been able to just lose myself in the story again, so it's been great. I'm keep on going. Bad boy at 3:59. I made it. But now there's only 8 hours left of the day. And winter, the 4th book, is a whopping 820 something pages. So I don't think that's happening today, but I will get as far as I can. Cress was awesome. It's just getting more and more intense and good as it goes on, and I'm having just the best time, not gonna lie. I'm melting out in the sun, even though it feels really nice, so I'm gonna go ahead and pack up my things and head on home and continue. Also, just to add, I know it's been literally, gosh, I can't do math. How many hours at this point? Like 16 hours at this point, but I'm actually so sad thinking that I'm almost done with this series. I have had so much fun reading it, and I'm just as excited as I am that I've almost finished it in one day. I'm kind of bummed that I don't have more content in this universe, but it's cool. Oh well, anyway, that's all for me for now. got a new candle, got a new ambiance, put on comfier clothes. I am back in my original spot that I started in today. Let's go ahead and keep going. It's 8:30 and I'm getting really sleepy. I'm gonna hang on. I'm gonna do it because we've come this far, but oh, I'm getting tired. I am this far into winter, which is just over 300 pages. If I can get at least halfway through this before the end of the night, I think I will be happy. Which, you know, I'm only about 100 pages away, so I think we can manage it. Maybe we'll even get like 60% done, 75% done. Just not, definitely not the whole thing, unfortunately. But anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling and I'm gonna get back to it. Halfway through. Yeah, that's pretty much the only update. Guess I'll just keep going. Fading so fast, I think I'm gonna have to maybe switch out my contacts soon, but we'll see. See if I can last. Anyway, that's all for me. Goodbye. I'm back with glasses. I've decided to relocate to my office, which is maybe not the wisest decision because the lighting in here is pretty dim and my eyes are getting heavier and heavier by the minute, but I needed a change of scenery. I have been on that couch and in that living room for so long today. So here I am. Let's see how much further I can get. Just about 2 more hours to go. It's almost 11 and I am losing my will to continue. I have made it over halfway through the book. I am slowing down considerably where it's taking me just forever to read even a single short chapter because my mind keeps wandering and I keep having to fight against this and my eyelids being heavy. Yeah. That's my only update. I might walk some laps around this room for a minute and readjust a few things so I can stay awake, but I'm not giving up. So close. I am not giving up now, but boy, do I want to. Even though the book is still great, I am about there. So that's page 484 out of 823. So I've made pretty good progress. I'll give it that much. Anyway, I'm stalling. That's all. I've decided that I'm gonna try standing for a little bit and see if that does, I don't know, anything to help me. At this point, I'm starting to doubt it, but let's try it, shall we? This far. No spoilers. I'm this far. Total of 823 pages, so we are getting there, folks. 15 minutes left. It's after midnight. Made it by the skin of my teeth, but I did it. I don't even know how to wrap this up. As if I haven't done 5 of these before. I'm a different kind of tired this time when I tell you I was fighting for my life this past hour. But In 24 hours, I read Cinder, and I read Scarlet, and I read Cress, and I read 66% of Winter. I'd say it was a pretty good day of reading, if I do say so myself. I have no coherent thoughts really to give at this point, just that I still love it. I'm still having a great time, and I actually kind of appreciate that I had to slow down a little bit because of the exhaustion in this last book, because it's letting me savor the time that I have left with this finale, which is super epic so far. At the midway point, I genuinely thought, like, how could it even go anywhere from here? This is the climax scene. This is it. And it wasn't. And there's still more. And there's still so much more. So I'm excited to see what it holds. At some point this week, whether it is tomorrow or the day that I actually edit and compile this video, I will give a bit more commentary on my thoughts. I think I will go completely spoiler free for this video. I will wait to record that and tack it on to the end of all the other footage that you've seen up to this point until I can articulate what I'm thinking and feeling better than I can right now, because right now my only thought is for going right to sleep. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Thanks for watching so far. If you don't care to hear my thoughts, that's fine. But if you've watched this far, thank you so much for tuning in. From here, I'm gonna head it over to more coherent Madison, who has slept and had time to think. And maybe even finish Winter by the time I get around to recording it. Guess we'll see. But in the meantime, good night. I'm done. The end. I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed. Okay, it is the next day. I have decided to go ahead and do my debrief today, sooner rather than later, so that all my thoughts are kind of fresh. I also didn't want to have to worry about recording and putting all of the footage together in the same day, so we're gonna go ahead and just do this now. I slept until about 9:40 or so, which was great. Could have slept longer, but I do have to be up early tomorrow for work, and I didn't want to mess up my sleep schedule any more than I already have. So I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and kind of give my thoughts about the actual books first, and then I'll talk about the read-a-thon as a whole. Firstly, like I said, I read almost all of these yesterday. I got so close. I read 3 of them, and then about 66% of Winter. I have read a little bit more today, and I'm getting closer to page 600, but I was at page 550 or so last night. So story itself. I can't really share too much without giving too much away, and I don't think I'm going to do, like I said, any spoiler-filled reviews for this one, but as an overall consensus, and again, taking into account that I haven't actually finished the series yet, but I got really close. I just love this. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. Like, I thought I'd have a fun time. I thought I'd enjoy it. But, like, I'm so attached to these characters and to this world and this idea. Like, I want them to succeed so badly. And I don't think I realized at the beginning, I think I said this earlier as well, that it's a story that builds upon itself. So I thought that each of these was kind of a separate story within the same canonical universe, following a different retelling. But it's a continuing story, which makes it that much more fun because you have more time with these characters. You have more time to be in their heads and to fight with them in their plight and to cheer them on and to, you know, just be along for the ride with them as they work towards their goals. So I'm really enjoying it, and I think I loved it a lot more than I was expecting to. It's super well written and it's very clever. The concept itself is just so fascinating. I love the idea of fairy tale retellings anyway, but again, like I said in a previous video or a previous clip earlier, when you consider the idea of these fairy tales set in a futuristic sci-fi setting, the way that she, you know, tweaks those details to fit the world while also remaining true to the original fairy tale is just so smart. It's these little details and things where you go, that's so sneaky, and I love that you added that detail in there, so it's very well done. Like I said, I love the characters, and I love the romance. I am a romantic within my own reading and writing. I fought against that for a long time and was like, ugh, no, I'm not a romance gal, but I am. If it's well written, I do like romance, and I think I'm picky with my romance. There's a lot that I don't like that's on the market nowadays because I think it's just shallow or trashy. I'm also very judgy, sorry. But the romance of this is so cute. I think it's especially fun because each couple is so unique and so balanced, and because you already have the understanding that it's a fairy tale, like, you know there's going to be a romance involved, you know what the story's supposed to be, so you have that just kind of built-in anticipation of like, oh, it's coming, and it's just so fun. And again, she does such a good job with making each character, especially each narrator, each different girl, super unique in their personalities and their goals. It'd be so easy for them to kind of all take on the same, I guess, helm or personality type or tendencies, being all set in the same universe and all kind of like being entangled in this story. But they're also unique, and by extension, the partners that they end up with are so different from each other, and they all just are matched together so well, and it's super cute. I love it. Like I said, I think reading this, it's very akin to the kind of story I'm trying to write. Not exactly the same thing at all. I'm not doing a fairy tale retelling. I'm not doing sci-fi. It's an original story in a fantasy world, but just the style and kind of the story beats that are happening is very similar to what I think I'm attempting to do. And so it was really fun to read for me as a writer because, one, I'm learning from it. There's certain things that I've been struggling with in my own plot, in my own writing, that I just haven't been able to figure out, and reading this has given me a lot of things to consider and ideas to work with. Not that I'm just trying to pilfer ideas from the things that I read, but it is fun to, watch other authors solve those same problems and to approach it in that way. And so I'm learning from it. And at the same time, I loved it so much that it just makes me excited to get back to my own writing. I know I said that already, but it's encouraged me reading this. The fact that I had so much fun with it, the fact that it is in the same ballpark of what I'm trying to do, it makes me excited to sit down later today and to keep working on my own stuff and to continue to keep working on all my own stuff for the rest of this year and, thereafter. I haven't finished the story yet, but I can tell it is building to an epic conclusion already. I'm in the middle of the epic conclusion. I've got about 200 pages left, or just over 200 pages, and yeah, it's getting intense. It's getting intense, and you can tell like all these things are about to explode in their faces, and it's going to be really dramatic and fun. And that's something else that gives the series merit, is that it builds really progressively well. Obviously, it starts kind of in one place and it just continually gets more intense and more complex and more serious while still having that kind of playful, fun tone. You can tell that she's done a lot of work of slowly easing you into the world and the story and allowing it to gradually build in each individual installment, but also throughout the series as a whole. You can tell it is just slowly building at the exact pace that it needs to, and I have a lot of respect for that. I think it would be easy to fall away from it or to sink into tropes that are already there and make it a little too dramatic, a little too much, too fast. And she, at least in my opinion, paced it very well. And you can tell that, again, with the plot, with the characters, the way it's all building, it's getting a little bit more serious, a little bit more mature as it goes on, which I think is the hallmark of a good YA series, is that it starts in a place that feels a little more whimsical and fun, and the whimsy and the fun remains throughout, but you get more of the seriousness as it goes. I will say the dialogue can be a little corny at times, but it doesn't bother me, and I do wonder if it's because these characters are kind of meant to be caricatures already. They're a part of, like I said, these long-standing tropes, and so it doesn't bother me too much in that sense. I think it's funny, and I like that their personalities are so big that they're all clashing with one another in that way. So the sometimes corny dialogue, it seems to suit the characters and the caricatures they are representing, at least the ones who were like the main offenders. So it doesn't bother me, that I think it adds to the charm of the story and the fun and the whimsy of it as well. I am both, and I said this already, I'm kind of repeating myself, but I'm hopefully in a more articulate way now that I've slept. I'm so excited to keep reading, and I'm so anxious to get back to it, but I'm also so bummed that I'm almost done. I know there's a couple of novellas or shorter novels that are not within the context of the series, but kind of a part of the world. But as far as like the actual main story goes, I know I'm almost done, and that makes me sad because I've had so much fun being in this world and with these characters, and it was such a blast yesterday getting to spend so much time immersing myself in that world and in this story. So I know that even though I'm so excited to continue, it's going to be a bummer when my time with them comes to a close. And I think this is one that I will probably return to again someday and will heartily recommend to everyone. I think if this sounds like your jam, you read it. It is so much fun and super cute, and just, I don't know, I needed a palate cleanser. I think I've read so much like heavy stuff lately. Even some of the YA I read last month is really intense. And so this was just, it was a breath of fresh air, and I had just a grand old time with it. As far as Goodreads reviews, if I have time, and knowing myself, I will probably not have time, but if I have time, I will try to write a separate review for each of these individual books. I think they each deserve their own review, but chances are what I will end up having time for is probably just one long summary and review of all my thoughts about the entire series that I will like copy and paste from book to book. Because I've already put so much effort and time into creating this video, I won't do a separate Lunar Chronicles review video, but I will try to give a more in-depth review as much as I can in Goodreads. If I can for each individual book, I'll do that. If not, then it'll be for the series as a whole. So if you want more of my in-depth thoughts, I will direct you there when it is time. But for now, yeah, this is what I have to say about it. Just that it's so much fun. I'm loving it so much, and I heartily recommend it to anyone looking for a fun, futuristic sci-fi that has the heart of old fairy tales that we know and love. It's just such good fun. Okay, debriefing the readathon itself. I'm really impressed with myself for how long it took me to actually get tired. It was about 8 p.m. last night that I really started to feel it. I was like, oh gosh, it's getting difficult to stay awake. And by 11, I was fighting for my life. I was reviewing some of the footage this morning and chuckling at how like you can see me get more like progressively disheveled throughout the day as it gets harder and harder to stay awake. I knew I would force myself through it, but the fact that I kept my energy up that long and managed to keep my energy that long, I'm pretty impressed with myself, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'll do it in this format again, mostly just because of time. It took a lot of time to prep for this, so what I did in preparation is I stayed up late Friday and Saturday night, or like later than I'm used to, and I woke up earlier on Sunday morning, and then I didn't have caffeine that entire day. So I was already tired, which I had done on purpose, and I was purposely staving off the caffeine so that I would have nothing in my system. I started my wind down routine that I do before bedtime at like 2:30 in the afternoon on Sunday, and then I was in bed at 3:45, and I got about, I'm gonna say probably 6 solid hours of sleep, but closer to 7, not counting the times like I kind of was restless and woke up because I didn't get out of bed till 11:30 p.m. ish to get ready for the day. It worked, I think, because I was able to get at least like half a night of good sleep, or what is considered a good amount of sleep. I didn't get the full 8 hours, but I got between 6 and 7. That definitely helped with staying awake, and I really tried to pace my caffeine throughout the day. Like every 5-6 hours or so was when I would like give myself another dose, I guess. But yeah, I like doing this format because, you know, those quiet hours of the morning, like the world is just so relaxed and quiet, and like I flew through those first 2 books, I think, because there was nothing else going on. It was just me sitting in my cozy little space in my house, and I got to watch the sun come up through the windows. And so I love that feeling of knowing I've spent a full day reading and dedicating my time to this and having those quiet hours of the morning and of the night to work on it. But, you know, timing wise, it does take a lot of prep work ahead of time, and it does require me not having too many plans the day before so I can go to bed early, and requires me having an entire day to, you know, give to this. So I think it'll be more a timing thing if I do the midnight to 11:59 thing in the future. It may come down to having to do it the other way that I do, where I start at like 7 or 8 p.m. in the evening, read as long as I can, go to bed for a few hours, and then read until 7 or 8 the next evening. Yeah, it'll just depend on what my schedule is like, but I liked getting to return to this format, so I hope I can do it again, but we will see what happens. In the future, I think I probably need to make a plan, especially if I'm doing the midnight to 11:59 version of this. I need a plan to be out of my house in the evening. It really helped yesterday getting to go sit out in the sun for a few hours. That like stretch between 1:45 and like 4 when I was finishing up the 3rd book. I woke up so well outside in the sunshine, and I was able to actually make good progress and like reach my little deadline that I'd set for myself for finishing that 3rd book. So the outside time was perfect. But I think my mistake was that I came home at like 4, and then I was just like, okay, time to settle in for the night. And I was in the same exact spot I had been for most of the day before that. And so I was getting antsy, I was getting sleepy, I didn't really have many places to move around and like change where I was. So I think in the future, if I'm gonna do the midnight to midnight version, again, I probably need to go find a coffee shop or something that's open later. Do something like that, even if I'm not having caffeine that late, just so I am out of my house and in a different setting so that I'm more motivated to read, because I think that's kind of what did me in at the end. Was my house was quiet, everyone else was asleep, and it was just me fighting for my life trying to get to the end. So yeah, I'm considering that for the future as well, because that was really rough. I said I always set myself up for failure when trying to read a series in the day. Obviously this wasn't a failure, I read so much, but the last time I tried to do, or anytime I've tried to do a complete series in a day, I end up not making it through the entire series. The last one I did was Percy Jackson, and I got really close. I think I finished the first 4 books, but I didn't get to the 5th. And when I did the Red Rising trilogy, like the original trilogy, I was like, oh, it's only 3 books, 24 hours, I got this. And then because it was such like hard sci-fi, I did not have it. I did not finish that series. I managed 2.5-ish books that day. I do, anytime I say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna read this series in a day, I never actually finish. And I'm always kind of like, oh, that's a surprise, when it shouldn't be at this point. But I'm still proud of how much I read, and I'm glad I got through most of the Lunar Chronicles. It's just a bummer, you know, you'd love to put in the title, like, I read the Lunar Chronicles in a day, and now I have to add the caveat of like, almost. I nearly finished it in a day. Okay, and then to wrap it up, my grand total of pages between Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and the 66% of Winter that I read 1,940 pages, which I think is the highest number I have ever tackled in a read-a-thon, so I'm proper chuffed. I'm really pleased with that number. Yeah, and I'm exhausted, but I'm already looking forward to the next one. I think it'll be sometime in May, but I haven't decided yet, and I haven't decided exactly what I want to do for it yet, but I have some ideas, so we'll see. That's all for now. Those are my final thoughts. Thank you so much for following along on this journey with me, like I've said in the past. I'm excited to continue to read and to look at storytelling with all you guys, and I appreciate your consistent support and interaction as I take on these ridiculous feats throughout the year. So if you feel so inclined, you can like and subscribe below. Otherwise, I will see you soon. Thanks, everyone.